Hello ladies and gents, Falcon here, and today we're going to be covering part 2 of the Archon Guide to Being Buff. We will be discussing the strategies of the Archon along with tidbits of knowledge that you may or may not find useful. Please note that any abilities that overlap will be linked in the description below so that you can see them as they are. And because I prefer to make this not so long, let's go ahead and jump right on into this. Illuminate deals physical damage and is affected by anything that states it increases physical damage that the target takes. It lasts 20 seconds, so it is ideal to refresh this every 18 seconds. This ability is nearly useless in solo play, and only slightly useful in experts, where it really shines is the 10 and 20 mans. So in a 10 man, provided you don't have a chloral healer, you're looking at around 216k damage done in a minute, or about 3,600 DPS. All that for 3 seconds worth of global cooldowns. Not too shabby. Now, if you have a bard in your group as well, you're going to want to throw this up at the very start of the fight and let them override it with their Kodo at Jeopardy, as it lasts a minute and is much easier for them to maintain. Anytime you're doing switch to other mobs that die faster than a minute, you're going to want to toss it up and let them use their combo points for something more effective, like throwing out heals and, bardy things. Alright, Lava Field. This ability has a lot of scare to it. It places a green circle around the location where you place it. The problem is, people are conditioned to run out of circles, so forewarning, I suggest making a macro when you cast it that yells, "Hey, stand in the green thing," it increases your DPS, or, something along that line. Now, the way this buff works is it places a damage buff on you for 4 seconds. Every time the circle on the ground pulses, it refreshes the buff. So, 10 seconds in all. Now, in 20 man, I don't know if the buff jumps around or if it goes to the same person. If you know, go ahead and post down below. Furthermore, placement is key to this ability's efficiency. Never use this ability for its damage component unless you can do so by dropping it on your raid and the enemy. Please note that this ability does not stack with Orchestra of the Plains, but should be juggled along with it to make the most benefit out of your support classes. So until recently, I never really used Power Drain. My build, which I will cover later, has a much better charge consumer. But, that said, I've started to weave this in when I know large hits are coming in. So say the boss casts a big scary move, roar. Toward the end of the cast, you're going to want to go ahead and pop Power Drain till it's done. Then turn Power Drain off, as it's a channeled ability, and rebuild your charge back up. So it's important to manage your buffs with your raid as best as possible, and the only way to do this is by communication. A lot of the Archon's buffs last longer than those of Beastmaster Bards and Druids, and this can allow them to worry more about maintaining higher DPS and worrying about other aspects of the fight. In a fight, an Archon should be responsible for keeping Ashen Armor up and comboing resistance up, placing Illuminate at the start of the fight, then letting the Bard take over. If there's a Beastmaster in your group, allow them to use their command to attack, as it will do the exact same thing as your Flaring Power without consuming charge. Don't forget that Flaring Power places a debuff on you, so it will not be effective to use it once it comes off cooldown, unless by chance several DPS have died during the fight and have been resurrected, and then it could be worth it to use it in order to make up for the DPS that they lost while they were dead. Also, attempting to use Flaring Power while other buffs such as Lava Field, Wild Growth, and other such things up are very helpful for increasing the maximum DPS at the start of the fight and 5 minutes later once the debuff is gone. Point to Point is a great ability on paper. However, due to ability lag, people lacking attention, and just not being worth the points to get it, I cannot advise anyone picking up this ability, which does sadden me because the mechanic is great, just the implementation of the ability into the game is not quite so viable. Sorry, Point to Point. So, in a previous video, I stated that mana abilities did not need to be covered there. However, one wonderful person pointed out, and I'd already kind of planned to talk about it here, Mental Flare, the only non-boring mana regen you have. Well, okay, it's still boring. But it can be cast on other players, which is quite nice if you have a party member who dies and gets rezzed and they use mana. You can quickly get them back up and going, or if a healer's having some intense moments and needs a little bit of help. So yeah, it's a good way to use that ability. There are a number of things that I'm not going to go over because it's pretty easy to find them out. So right now I want to do a quick talk about rotations and the sort. I had 2 rotations in mind that won't be able to be fully made without having your purpose made. But that said, the macro and rotation I'm going to give you is a good little starting point. Starting off a fight, I use my buff and debuff rotation. It's pretty straightforward. Illuminate and then Ashen Armor, followed by Crumbling Resistance. If I'm at 50% charge, I'll pop Flaring Power and Waning Power and Lava Field. Unless there's Bard in the group, which I let them use their version first. And then I hit the hell out of my spam button to get my charge up and to pop my other consumer. Now, this is only for a very short time because if you leave it up, you'll wind up wasting Flaring Power by running out of charge. Then I simply keep Lava Field on cooldown along with Waning Power unless I know there's going to be a key part of the fight where the boss is going to do something and I want to reduce the amount of damage with Waning Power and Power Drain. Okay, the only reason I go into the setup with Illuminate at the start to get the extra damage from it. Ashen Defense to increase the amount of damage it does, Crumbling Resistance to increase the damage your casters do, and then Flaring Power and Waning Power as a boost to raid damage and my own, and lastly Lava Field as Flaring Power lasts longer. So, the base spam macro I use is Earthen Barrage, Spark Shower, Volcanic Bomb, Surging Flare, and then Granite Salvo, or Pillaging Stone if you're running a 51-point purpose. I cast Earthen Barrage as my top priority because it hits like a truck, and I find that I prefer crit stat to be going up first. Spark Shower is my second priority because being able to get out of AoE or move to a new location quickly is an overall DPS increase. Then Volcanic Bomb for the extra 5% damage, and Surging Flare because once those are up, it gives you an extra 3% cast speed. Okay, so the spam macro will of course be modified in other purpose videos as we will get into them, and we'll be adding some things to them to make them a little bit better. And this is me running out of steam and thoughts on what to write about. Maybe not as mathy as I'd hoped, but I feel like we covered some pretty good tips using some of the abilities. As things change, I will make note of them, but until then, I would like to toss out a few credits where credits are due. So, special thanks to my editor Kate for dealing with my craziness and putting this all together. Special thanks to the Grins from the Rift forums. After putting together the basics of the video, I happened to stumble upon his guide, and it was pretty helpful. Also, if you want to look at all the comparisons of what support classes' abilities don't stack with the Archon, link down below to his actual guide. It may be updated by now, may not. I don't know, I haven't looked. And I would like to do a special thanks to the people at Prometheus on the Fablight server for helping make this video, whether they knew it or not. I'm actually not in the guild anymore, but since a lot of the recording took place there, I felt that they did deserve a shout out. Not getting into the details, but hey, Mage looking for guild. And that about wraps this up. So thank you for watching. Please feel free to rate the video and maybe even subscribe if you'd like to see some more. Toss a dislike on it and let us know down below why you did so we can help improve the video. My editor's kind of antsy that no one did this last time, and it was actually quite surprising. Subscribe to catch the next guide that we'll be working on, which, if memory serves correctly, is going to be Pyromancer. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, have a great day.